Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Elite Health and Wellness Show. My name is Clay, and I'm the co owner and founder of Elite Health Online. Today, I have a special guest, Vaughn, LV is the way we call him. Excited to have him today talking about his journey with health and wellness, his therapy regimen, and also a little bit about his business model and what he does. So, I think you're going to enjoy hearing from him. So, LV, welcome. Glad to have you today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Great. So, LV, you've been with us for a while now as a patient. Tell us a little bit about how you started your wellness journey overall, hormone replacement therapy and some of the protocols that you're on. How'd you get started and then how'd you end up at Elite?
So let's see. I started when I was 35. I'll never forget. I walked into the gym one morning. I was big into CrossFit at the time. Loved squatting heavy, pulling heavy deadlifts, things like that. And walked into the gym. Started my little squat set. Halfway through it, I was like, "Dude, this sucks." And I packed up my stuff and left the gym, which never happens.
Hmm.
And dude, I think it was for I don't know 4 or 6 months. I was hurting all the time. I lacked a lot of motivation in the gym, which was very not typical for me.
Hmm.
I had a buddy of mine that had said, I'm doing some of this hormone replacement stuff, and it was really cool, and I was intrigued by it. So I met with him, and short version, he was like, "Dude, you got great testosterone for like a 72-year-old." And I kind of chuckled, and I was like, "Okay." And so he was like, "We need to clean up some lifestyle stuff." And then he got me on testosterone, anostrosol, and that was really about it. And I
Okay.
just kinda chugged along for, I don't know, 4 years. He did put me on a Somorelin, right, a little peptide, and I all of a sudden, my shoulder, because I was a pitcher in high school and,
Hmm.
from a young kid, whatever, played football, that kinda stuff, and I was like, "Dude, the pain went away." Uh and then performance in the gym kicked back up. My my body composition changed. My ability, because I own multiple businesses, my ability to handle stress overall was just it was a game changer.
Great.
And so that was cool, but I wasn't getting checked regularly,
Okay.
like I should. And I just kind of felt like I was out in the wild, wild west of,
Hmm.
not paying attention to certain markers or this or that. And my normal doctor wasn't very helpful, quite frankly. My general physician in terms of he was opposed to it, quite frankly. And then I guess, I don't know, 9 months ago, a year ago, whatever it was, I heard a speaker talk. He mentioned you guys and your company and you,
Hmm.
and I reached out to you and got plugged in with you guys, and man, it's been incredible. The level I think the biggest thing for me, if hormone replacement in and of itself, like, most guys that I talk to don't know anything about it or
Hmm.
think it's like this big scary thing, and it can be further from the truth if you're working with a professional team. And so them plugging in with you guys that have the doctors and the resources and the pharmacies and just the whole experience has been top shelf and like a complete game changer for me. So
That's great to hear. Yeah, I certainly know sometimes getting your shipment, and we talked about the pharmacy issues and things like that are not always perfect, but the experience with us, I'm glad to hear that's been great. And, we're working all those issues out, but that's awesome. So, did you, obviously, again, what age were you when you walked into the gym and had this experience? Do you remember?
I was 35 when I walked in the gym. I started working with you guys when I was dang, it's right at a year. So I started working with you guys right as I turned 40.
Okay.
And I turned 41 in what, 2 months?
Okay.
And so
Excellent.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty typical. We've had other guests on before. I mean, I think I started therapy at 37. My experience was kind of similar. I just couldn't recover. I mean, I was staying sore for a week at a time, and I didn't think I was getting the results that, based on how hard I was working, the diet and exercise I was following. I was like, I don't know, I'm not getting the results of other people that I'm seeing around me. I feel like I'm declining, and I don't know that I should be declining this fast at this age. And went in and my levels were like 237, something like that. It was pretty bad. Maybe it was
Dang.
337. I don't know. It was well below 500.
Yeah.
And so similar experience. Started going to a doctor, really not far from where I'm sitting here recording in this podcast today, and he just throws some testosterone at me and walk out the door. I wasn't even on an
Yeah.
anastrozole, and I was like, later I find out that's like malpractice, because since nowadays we don't even use anastrozole anymore. Things are evolving, And I think that's one of the things with elite that we like to try to do is stay ahead of the game. I have a lot of people now still that are like, no, you got to be on an anastrozole. I'm like, that's what your doctor told you 10 years ago. Like, we've moved on
Yep.
since then. We now recognize that, estrogen's not the enemy. It actually increases your libido. It helps with joints. It helps with just overall vitality. Unless it's causing a problem, you know, gynecomastia, something like that, then, your estrogen levels can quite frankly run, wherever they run. And with DIM, healthy estrogen conversion is the way to go. So glad to hear you've had a good experience and you got started on some peptides as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and if you don't mind, I'm gonna elaborate on that. So, like, one of the biggest things that I tell guys, because I work primarily with middle-aged,
Mm-hmm.
men. That's my client, and I sell clothes for a living, so I see their bodies change, and, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them I work with over time, and they can't get the weight off or they can't do this, and there is a huge not everyone wants to be a bodybuilder, right?
Right.
And so that's I think there's a lot of, like, stigma around it. And yes, the performance and the recovery is fantastic. What I've personally noticed, like, the benefit that I cannot overstate is the, reduction in inflammation,
Mm-hmm.
for me is a big deal. So, like, joints hurting and things like that, or the diminishing of that has been incredible. The mental clarity that comes along with the hormone replacement
Mm-hmm.
therapy, which gets me back in the gym, which keeps my lifestyle, because I still like to cut loose every now and then and have a good time. The mental clarity that comes from the synergy
Mm-hmm.
that HRTs allowed me to bring back into my life, that's the biggest game changer for me.
Right.
Like, I got prescribed Adderall, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and just recently I was talking with one of your docs, and they kinda walked me through it, and they got me on Dihexa, and I'm on month 2 of tapering down my Adderall, intake or dosage, and I'm running even at a higher level mentally than I was prior, and it's like, man, for me, the mental performance,
Yeah.
like, that's a huge part of it for me, and I think that's something that I didn't hear a lot about or know about. That's for me, in and of itself, that if that
Yeah.
was the only benefit, I'm like,
That's
game on.
really awesome to hear. Yeah, I mean, again, that goes back to our real goal at Elite is to make sure, it's a wellness journey, right? We're trying to take you, quite frankly, a lot of people don't even know that they have a problem to solve. I mean, that's you and I are both in sales, industry for a long time. And that's a hard sell when you got to go in and try to uncover or help someone recognize a problem they don't even know that they have. And so many guys today, and you and I see it with our Vistage, CEO advisory board guys, they don't even know how bad they are because it's become their norm. The inflammation, the
Yep.
pain, the belly weight, the just the joint pain. This is the new norm, and it just seems like where they should be at that age. And it's not until they see a guy like me or you, and they go, "Wait a minute, that guy's 50, and you know he's doing the stuff he's doing," and they start asking questions, and it does. There's guys like you and I that we played sports in the past, and we're familiar with all this stuff. It's not that scary to us. We know the
Mhm.
benefit of it, and we're fairly knowledgeable. But there's a whole other population out there that's like, peptides? What are you even talking about? Hormone
Yeah.
replacement therapy. Can you take that? I thought it was illegal. And that's where we try to educate. And so certainly appreciate guys like you out there kind of being advocates.
Well, it's kinda interesting. I've referred quite a bit of good friends of mine to you guys and
Hmm.
clients, and it's crazy. The text messages that I get that say, "Hey, um, I can't thank you enough." I mean, from libido with her wife to
Right.
getting in the gym and seeing the transformation take place. It's just cool. I mean, it's truly a transformative experience, and if you didn't have someone like y'all leading, kind of being like the what is it, the Sherpa or the shepherd or whatever you wanna call
Hmm.
it, of leading us down the path, like, I probably would not be on some of the peptides that I'm on because
Yep.
I'd go Google it and see so much conflicting information, and it's like, "Dude, I don't know what's right."
Yep.
And I'm one of these guys that likes to research, and it's like, d I don't this is way over my pay grade. I need someone that
Hmm.
I can trust, and Elite Health has, quite frankly, just given me that trust. It's like, "Okay, I can try this. This is probably not the path to go down." Like, I mean, I've had y'all have told me, "No, don't do that. Do this instead."
Hmm.
When I've said, "Hey, I wanna get leaned up for a vacation or whatever
Right.
however silly or vanity it may be focused, it's like, dude,
Right.
it does matter.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And that's really it because I think Google's great, right? All this information's out there. We've got no lack of information today, but you can validate any theory you want. I mean, it'll feed you what
Yep.
you want to, what you want to.
Yeah, well,
I've even used Chat GPT. I mean, I can get the answer I want. It just depends on how I type the answer in or the question in, right?
yep,
So you can validate. Yeah. So it takes some knowledge, and it's good to have people you can trust. And yeah, that's great. So tell us a little more about your exercise routine. Obviously, you're in great shape. You're still now on the regimen, so you've got everything on board to help you. Tell us a little
yep.
bit about what your exercise routine looks like.
You know, I try to move every day, and that can be training in the gym, it can be jujitsu, it can be just walking outside. So, like, for
Hmm.
me, the discipline of moving is a real big thing for me.
Right.
But, I still like, I do heavy weights. Like, I love lifting
Hmm.
heavy. I grew up scrawny most of my life. And so the idea of being weak and scrawny, like, I never wanna be that guy again.
Hmm.
So, like, I love going in the gym and doing squats and bench and all that stuff, sled pushes, like, there's a time and place for that. I also do, jujitsu,
Okay.
you know, I kinda phase in and out on that. I've competed a couple times, it's a lot of fun. And then I just try to take care of myself, I do some track work, some running, stuff like that, walk around with weighted vests. But, I dabble
Yep.
and I have 3 kids, and, like, the biggest thing for me is I wanna be able to go throw the football with my son
Hmm.
or go practice volleyball with one of my daughters or soccer
Hmm.
and feel really good and spry. And so, like, I mean,
Yep.
real life example of how I use this is we had a soccer tournament this past weekend. Well, dude, I'm out there chasing down a high school football player on a passing route, and I'm outrunning him at 41 years old almost, and it's like, "Okay, I still got it." Like, when I take my shirt off, dude, I want people to be like, "Damn, how
Yeah.
young is that guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Right.
still check my ID, please." Like, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
still here.
awesome.
And so for me, I really focus on I like feeling strong and powerful in my body
Hmm.
and being dynamic with it. So I really focus a lot on heavy lifts,
Yep.
compound lifts. I enjoy Olympic lifting. I love the pulls, the
Yep.
pushes, and then I like to fight,
Yep.
just to see if I can still hold it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Same. I had to. We were on a walk with the dog with one of my kids not too long ago, and again, I just turned 50, so at that time I think I was 49, and he said he could whip me, and I was like, no, you can't. So we sprinted about 4 or 5 houses down, and yeah, I beat him, so that was good.
That a boy. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. Not gonna. I'm gonna go out. I'm not gonna go out like that. So that's
Nah.
awesome. Tell us a little bit more about your diet, if you would, just quickly, because obviously if you're training like that and you're taking the peptides, and one of the things I try to tell people about, when you start spending money on your health and medications, usually they clean up everything else with it.
Yep.
Your diet, it becomes real easy to be motivated when you're, you know, writing checks for medications and treatment. So a lot of times people that's when their diet really gets cleaned up suddenly. So or
Yeah.
you're working hard
For
in
me,
the
it's
gym
always
and
been
and
like, I really focus on, my big thing is protein intake for me, right? Like, that's the
hmm
easy one. So my natural default setting when I'm busy is not to eat. And so
hmm
I have a tendency to undereat, um, and then just kinda, like, let it fly at night. If I'm not paying attention to it, that's kinda what I default to. But most of the time, I typically fast in the morning,
okay.
um, or very little carb in the morning, and I typically train fasted.
Okay.
I feel really good that way.
So does that mean
And
you're training in
then
the morning, right out
yeah,
right
so I
out
train in the
first thing?
morning. So I go in, I'll take a small dosage of pre-workout just because I wake up at 4 and go
Hmm.
get after it. And then I'll take in, if I do take in anything, it's a protein shake with minimal carbs, just because I like the clarity that I gain for that. And then
Hmm.
I'll run that all the way through until 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I'm really focused on like a nice lean protein, a lot of chicken in the middle of the day. I don't eat a bunch of junk,
Hmm.
personally. I could do better on my water intake, so I'm focused on that. But then at night, man, dinner for me is, quite frankly, it's a social thing for me and my family,
Hmm.
and entertaining and things like that. So at night, I make sure again to eat enough protein. I try to not waste, quote unquote, carbs. Like, but
Mhm.
if we're gonna have dessert at the table, I'm gonna eat dessert and I'm gonna have a drink or 2
Yep.
or whatever it is.
Right.
The biggest thing for me is just making sure I don't, like, not skip an entire day of eating or just go binge out on,
Yep.
and I probably have 80% compliance. Like, I track my macros, and that's all it really takes. I mean, I'm not
Right.
like people are like, "Oh, do you meal prep?" Like, I hate meal prepping.
Mhm.
I waste my food because I hate bringing leftover I don't even like to eat leftovers.
Mhm.
So I'm like, "Dude, no, I just go eat the same thing day in, day out." I have my
Yep.
restaurants, I know how to eat, I know how to eat on the road. I get a 2 chicken sandwiches and double up the 2 chicken breasts on 1 bun and rock and roll,
That's
right?
exactly what I do.
Simple,
Yep.
small choices that make
Yep.
sense.
I go to Chipotle and I put half. I'm like, give me half the rice you normally put in the bowl.
Yep.
I'm not gonna not get no rice, but I'm like, just put that like half that spoon, and then I load it up
Yeah.
with all the other stuff. Like I'm with you. I know how to eat on the road, and I know how to eat well. And then whatever the wife fixes, that's what I'm gonna eat, and it's pretty reasonable
Yeah.
most of the time.
Well, it's
Um,
funny, so my wife, I went through a big transformation when I turned 40. I was like, "Alright, I really wanna get dialed in on this thing." I would eat whatever the family ate, and then I would just add about a half a pound of some type of protein source on top of
mhm.
it, and that was it. Like, I'm not gonna
Yep.
be the guy that makes it inconvenient for everybody
Yeah.
else.
Yep.
I don't know. Just makes
That's
it
no.
works for me.
I agree, and then you're within striking distance. Like I said, guys like us, and I think most of the patients. I'm not trying to be there all the time, but I want to be within striking distance of getting in really great shape if I need to, and not
Dude,
getting
you
too
nailed it.
sloppy. Yeah, I mean,
That
I can work
always
hard
within
for
striking
6 weeks
distance.
and be there.
Yeah, so it's funny you say that. When we first started working together, you and I had an initial conversation, and I was like, I was kinda close to that point, but I was going to the Bahamas, and I wanted to, like, hurt feelings on the beach, right? Like, I was like, "When I take the shirt off, I want people like, dang, what is that?" And it took me 6 weeks to get there, and that's
Right.
all I would like, if
Yep.
I can hit that when I want to, or if I've got a competition I wanna go do, I just wanna be ready all the time, and so I could
Yep.
go basically do a 6 or 8 week camp, quote, unquote, and
Yep.
be ready to roll.
That's perfect. Hey, tell us a little bit more about what you do, because obviously there's some guys out there like you and I that watch these podcasts and are patients, and either they're about to go through a transformation or they've been through one.
Yeah.
I've certainly been there. I've taken my pant size. The worst it ever was I'm 6'2", so I mean the 36-inch waist was big for me. That's the biggest I've ever been.
Yeah.
At one point, I got it down to 31 was snug. I was probably comfortable in a 32. Yeah, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I was lean for a
That's
while there.
pretty tiny.
It is, yeah. But I mean, 34, 32 is where I'm at. But anyway, we've got a lot of patients out there that when they get fit, suddenly now you want your clothes to fit a little different.
Yeah. So, I mean,
You're
what I
not,
do for a living is I help
yeah.
guys feel confident in their clothes, right? So we're in
Okay.
the I do everything from t-shirts all the way to custom made tuxedos and everything in between. So I'm a second generation quote haberdasher. But at the end
Okay.
of the day, I style guys and then come up just kind of like your guys do, right? So, like,
Hmm.
where are you? Where do you want to be? And most guys have some image of the way they would like to look in their mind. And then we style that out for you. And then the cool part about it is, and we have the capability, no matter where you are in the world, to scan you, get your measurements, and dial in the fit of everything. So you don't have to think about it. You just, you know, you have a trusted advisor with someone like me, and then we just deliver your quote prescription of clothes, and you put it on and wear it, and you get to wear it whether you're a CEO wearing a suit every day or a CEO wearing t-shirts and blue jeans. And the biggest thing for transformations is like most guys have never had clothes that fit them well everywhere. You got big
Hmm.
shoulders, but you got a small waist. So then you fit your shoulders, and it looks like Omar the tent maker made the shirt or the
Hmm.
jacket. And it's like you can't see what's underneath it, but you also don't want to, especially like our age, I don't want to look like I'm a 20-year-old wearing clothes that are too tight. So
Right.
balancing that edge along with your personality, that's what we do in short.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
man.
really want you to share, with these guys so we can put up your link and let people know how to find you, because I think there's a lot of people who be very interested in what you do, and it's not that
Yeah.
men hate shopping, so we'd
Oh,
prefer to just
dude,
have
I
somebody do
like
it for us. Can you just send me some stuff? Here's my measurements and
yeah. That's exactly I'm like, "Guys, we're the easy button," right? So,
yeah,
I know your measurements, you don't have to waste the time and money. I mean, if I order something from online
yep,
and it doesn't fit, like, the chances of me actually sending it back are slim to none, and most dudes wear, like, 20% of their closet, the other 80% sits there and just collects dust. We get
yep,
rid of all that noise. It's not any different than most of the people that are probably listening to this in their business.
yep,
Like, you make a lot of decisions but
This isn't one of them I
like
won't have to make.
yeah, just outsource the decisions you don't have to make to an expert, and we just
Right.
handle your style and clothes just like you guys handle,
Yep.
hormone replacement and getting on the right protocol.
Yep. There's also when I've done similar type services, not as custom as yours, I don't have to think about it. They send me stuff and I'm like, I don't know if I'd wear that. I put it on and I go, that's all right. I like it, and like you said, 80% of
Yeah.
what I have, it doesn't get worn. So I'm
Mm.
now to the point where you're talking about, I'm ready just to, have a few nice sets of things and wear the things that I need and, go with
Yep.
that.
I just
So,
like to wear it until I get tired of wearing it and get some new stuff and roll on. Or if
yep.
I got a big event, every 90 days, there's typically something big I'd like to dress to.
Yeah. Another thing I like about spending some money on things like this is I think a lot of guys, when you do that, there's a lot of motivation. I threw out all my fat pants and, kept my stuff that fit. And there's motivation. And when you drop cash to say, I'm not going back, I burned the boat, so to speak, you know?
I have a rule, I will not let out a pair of pants. So, like, if
Yep.
I ever get to a point where they're too tight, I either have 1 of 2 choices, either lose the weight or buy new pants, one of the
Yeah.
2. And it's like, dadgummit, I don't feel like buying new pants. But it's back to your point. In my experience, anytime I've spent money on anything nice,
Hmm.
whether that's protocols like this or clothes or a nice car or a nice house or a nice office, it motivates me to perform at a higher level. And
Yep.
I've never seen that not pay off. Right. If we're looking at businesses, the ROI, like I've never
Yep.
spent a dollar on anything like that where I didn't make it turn into $2 somewhere else.
Yep. No, totally. Told my kids one day I started flying first class a little bit here and there when I got to travel and just spent the extra money to upgrade. And you find a way to get back. That,
Oh, dude,
changes your
I actually
mentality.
that's a self-imposed rule. I started doing that 2 years ago. I was like, "If I can't afford to fly first class, then I shouldn't be going."
Right.
And it's like, "Okay, it's a game changer." And I quit wasting my time on things that weren't really moving the needle anyway, and I was
Right.
spending time away from the things and the people I enjoyed doing anyway.
That's awesome, man. Love
So,
that mindset. Yeah, if you ever come out to the ranch, I'll be in my fat pants, and they're all 36s, so they're sagging and falling down. So they're my work jeans now,
hey,
but you know, and I'm not trying
you
to
can't have
impress
skinny
anybody
jeans
out
with
there.
work boots on.
No, it don't work. It don't work. Well, man, as we're closing here, just kind of tell us. I know you had a recent visit with us in the last few weeks. I think just tell us a little bit about that experience, if you would. Just share with the audience, kind of again around the convenience. I think just kind of talk them through getting your lab work to getting on the phone and then getting your medications. Just what that experience was like.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's so cool, like, right? So I get a notification, "Hey, it's time for your lab work," which I like. I'm busy, I don't keep track of that stuff, and you guys were like,
Hmm.
"Hey, it's time to check up." Ran my panels. It's as easy as like I walked into LabCorp. I was in and out in I don't know 8 minutes or whatever it was.
Hmm.
All the paperwork I didn't have to. I just scanned a little QR code and then I jump on the phone with the doc and we go through my numbers. We go through you know some of the protocol that I was on. Hey, I've noticed a change here, and
Hmm.
I mean I don't know what does what, right? I just know what has changed or not changed, and based
Hmm.
off of my feedback, y'all actually changed up. We dropped a few things, we added a few things. Specifically, the most recent one was I was like, I've got a little bit of concern around this Adderall deal. You know,
Hmm.
I like the performance of my brain and how fast it processes. I was like, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm one one molecule away from methamphetamine. It's like,
Right.
and it's like, I don't know if this is a long term solution. And so y'all are super helpful in that. And I get my protocol. It's sent to me. I know exactly what I'm supposed to
Hmm.
take, when I'm supposed to take it, and it's all super confidential. I don't have to go to a pharmacy. It's shipped directly to my house. Like
Hmm.
again, super easy.
Great.
It travels with me. I feel great, and
Yep.
depending on what my goals are, that's the other thing too. Is if I'm like, hey, I want to get shredded, or I want to put on some extra muscle, or
Hmm.
like you've got somebody to talk to. I'm not having to figure it out. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
the whole thing is easy. I
That's
mean,
great.
easy, convenient, and most of all, it gets the results, assuming that I do my part. But
Great.
you guys nail it.
That's awesome, man. We're going to put up your link and share that with this podcast for people to come out and check out your business and hit you up if they're looking for some new wardrobes and simplify things and take those decisions away. And I appreciate you being on today. Thank you for your time and look forward to having you out soon.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Be good. Thanks for being with us today, folks. I hope you enjoyed the podcast and listening to another one of our clients that has a success story. If you're interested in taking the next step and living your best life, I'd challenge you to hit us up at elitehealthonline.com. If you want to talk to a specialist first and make sure that you qualify and understand the process more, you can simply click on Get Started. If you're ready to book and ready to get that lab work going and get on the phone with a doctor, go ahead and click on uh, Book Telehealth Appointment. At that point, that'll just initiate a calendar invite that'll pop up, let you allow to pick your date and time. And then from there, you will get a lab requisition, get that taken care of, and we'll be on the phone in no time talking to you and getting you set up. Thanks for being with us today and have a great day.